What is up, sinners and saints? This is Confession of a DIY Musician. And today we are confessing all those things that you've wanted to bottle up inside, but you're letting it all out today. Isn't that right? With my co-host, Eric Simmons-Rea on my right, and on my left, Toto Bernajev. I am Ryan Argas. We sing and play in a band called Marina City, and we are an independent rock band that has been around for the last decade or so. And we are going to be talking about basically how to talk with your fans, why your fans think you're weird.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah. Why your fans think you're weird.
Yeah, why your fans think you're weird. That's what basically the subject line is today. If you are a fan of Marina City, we're going to be really talking about some journeys that we've gone through and what we do to kind of connect with you, and one of them being this podcast. And if you've never heard of the band Marina City, this is just going to be a great way to learn about how to appropriately talk with your fans and how to really connect with them as much as possible.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of Marina City, then you know exactly why you think we're weird.
Yeah, the fan of Marina City is like, well, that's weird because I definitely
we can tell you all about how it'd be really weird.
Why your fans think you're weird though. But that is what this episode is, and we are off to the races. So with this episode, I think it's really important to the first things first, like in this day and age, and really any day and age, but especially in this day and age where people are going to be a lot more vocal in making sure that if you put them in a weird position or make them feel weird in any way, that could be a cancelable offense. And what I'm saying here is that you should always be appropriate. But I just feel like in this today, if you are not appropriate, even in the slightest thing, that could be a massive red flag that could really end your career. So what I even mean by that is like going above and beyond that. There's oftentimes when I like take photos with a fan, like I'll like have my arms here, but my hands are like off. Like my hands are not touching anywhere on them, like it's just like, or maybe when we do a group photo, I'm like holding on to Toto or you more than the fan is kind of thing. Yeah. It's
a lot of times I'll put my hands behind my back.
Hands behind the back.
Looks like my arms are around you, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
no touching.
Or at the very least, it's on like it's definitely 100%. You can see my hand on shoulder kind of thing. Than anything back here. And it's not that like. I don't know. It's about making sure that you don't feel weird around us. It's not that we're weirded out by fans. It's that we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, right? Yeah. Some people feel weirder about, being touched by strangers than others. And I prefer to just respect that at all times. So that's what I'm making saying about this is not against anything of cancel culture. This is basically saying that like you don't understand what can be inappropriate for someone else that may not be inappropriate for someone. Like
exactly,
you don't know what everyone's
interpreting.
boundaries are.
It's interpreting boundaries that are just not able to be discussed.
Yeah,
So you just want to make sure that you're always cool and kind and professional, and you don't want to
be respectful of people's space. Everyone has their space around them. Some people are comfortable with people around them. Some people want to stay far away from people. So,
Yeah, I think that it's really important to make sure you set the boundaries also as the band. Like with fans, and this is the same thing with like online. Like we will always talk to you online. Like anytime that you comment, anytime that you do that, we're always going to reach out. I mean, it just feels really cool to have someone like something enough, not only to press a button to give us the heart, but to also like physically comment something. I just feel like that's always a reason why we want to comment back. Yeah. So I feel like we're really vocal with our fans. However, it can get to a point where, like, again, there's some boundaries online that could also be misrepresented of who you are and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that when you're talking to fans, just know, like I've been lucky enough to be on some singing competition shows, and this is not and that's how I got in this band, is because I won that competition with you guys.
That's right.
That's a joke.
Who wants to be the singer of Marina City?
Rockstar Marina City.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole episodes about that at some point, I'm sure. But one thing that they will do is that they're going to go through every single nook and cranny of the internet and find things that you've said in a podcast or that you've tweeted, or you've X'd, or you've Facebook statused, or you MySpace status, or you Zynga statused.
Zynga, wow.
Oh, yeah. I'm bringing up some Tumblr posts that you did.
smokes.
I mean, there were even things that they found on my Pinterest board that they felt that was a little inappropriate, which was like, I think it was like some like mood board that I was doing for my job. Just a little background really quick. I do merchandise for artists, and I'm A&R for it, and I find artists and we do the merchandise. And sometimes one part of my job is help an artist figure out a mood board for their merchandise. And I was like finding this artist was a rapper. They were a little bit more risque, a little bit more wild. So we were finding different photos that were like be great for their mood board. But since it was on my mood board, like a one that is under Ryan Argast, the singing shows found it and flagged it as inappropriate and went there. So the reason why I bring that up is that they found things that at the time in 2009, 2008, I didn't think anything of it. Like it was just like, I think it was literally calling you out in 2010 of like you being a butt muncher or something like that.
And butt muncher?
Yeah, like you were being a jerk and we were just joking around, but they found that and it was like, so, and now they're like, yo.
They said, listen, there's nothing wrong with munching butts.
Yeah, you can munch as much butts
you
as you
can't
want.
be rude to people
But
who
you
munch
can't
butts.
be rude. Yeah, that is derogatory to the butt munchers out there. Yeah. So it was just like things like that and so the reason why I bring that up is that you just have to be aware that whatever you say right now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it can come out and it'd be like, yo, so just always be professional in everything that you do in your social media.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good thing to just be aware of for anybody in any profession in this generation.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's tricky it's tricky to be like a public figure in like a band because a lot of people feel like people will take this position for granted or, you know, like you're in a very lucky position to be here. And I think people will put you in a little bit extra scrutiny than they would in most other jobs. Yeah. So you just want to make sure that you're being cool and you're kind and respectful. And like, you know, frankly, maybe for some people it's easier to just have a completely professional public persona entirely. Like I don't enjoy posting a lot of super personal stuff online anyways, so I don't. Yeah. So I, you know, just be mindful of that. If you want to post some personal stuff, just, you know, make sure you're being cool about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately when it comes to like with fans and such, fans, they hold you up to a higher standard. They believe that they know you. They believe that they understand you. They look up to you in some kind of way, even if you don't want it necessarily to be that. And some people can take advantage of it when you ask fans to do certain things that could be inappropriate or talk to them. Because like I feel like oftentimes you're a little older than the fan is too. So when like you're talking to a fan, automatically the fan is like, oh my God, I can't believe they're talking to me. Mm-hmm. And so then when you go with the little extra mile of asking them to do something that seems a little off a little bit or whatever, immediately they're like, well, you know, this is kind of cool. The fact that they're giving me attention.
Yeah. It's a really tricky thing to balance because there's obviously bad actors in the music community, and obviously like don't be a bad actor in the first place. But you know, just be careful in making sure that your actions aren't being misconstrued as something that's malicious or creepy or weird. Like just generally treat people with respect and kindness, and it'll go a long way.
You're trying to build a community. That's what we always talk about, how define success as an independent musician is connecting with your audience and giving them a reason to buy. So you want to create a community within your fan base so that there is people that are following, not when I mean following you, not just like on social media, but like part of your life wants to be part of the community that you're building. Your message, we're like inspired by you, and then because you're connecting with them, then you give them a reason to buy. That equals money. So if you take,
listen, you guys are just dollar signs. That's all.
Just part of the equation, man.
For the independent artists, you're connecting with them, and then you give it, and that's the whole point. The whole reason why we do music is to connect with people. Like there's like, I don't know. I don't mean to shit on John Lennon's son, but I'm sure he does music. And I know he does music, and I don't know how many people really listen to Sean Lennon that much. But
his name's Sean Lennon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sean Lennon. But the thing is that I'm just using him as an example. This is the first time I realized that his name's Sean Lennon. Maybe that's wrong. I'll look it up anyways. But the thing I bring that as an example is that could he have made a career in music without his dad's name? Like, is he good enough on his own to do that? But he's super rich, right? Like, he has all the money that you need. And so what I'm trying to say here is that what he really wants is probably connect with people and make people like love his music, because money is already what he has. But with us, it's like we don't have money, but if I really wanted a ton of money, I could not do music and go get a ton of money doing something that I hated. We do this to connect with people. Mm-hmm. And so you have to connect with your audience. But if you are the big bad wolf in there, you're screwing up a community, you're screwing up people for life, and that's not cool either.
Yeah.
So I think altogether, when you're meeting with your fans, we talked about this before with etiquette of like at a show, meet them in between the 15 minutes where there's changeover and after the show. Stay until after the show and actually encourage your fans to stay for the entire show, because you're going to be hanging out afterwards. Make sure they see all the bands.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing with show etiquette. And when you see them, we typically try to stay at our merch table, and there's one person that's taking sales in the middle, and then there's people on the sides, and then we'll take our photos on the sides, and then at the end we'll do a whole group photo with all the band members, with everyone, because it's just difficult to do that all the time. So really stick around as much as possible.
Yeah, if I'm walking through the crowd and someone grabs me and is like, trying to start a conversation or let's can we take a photo? Usually it'll be like, I'm super down. Are you sticking around? Because I gotta run backstage.
Yeah.
But I'll be out and hanging out after the show. Yeah. So making sure that there's that separation of like, look, this is not my time right now. It is whoever's on stage's time, and you want to give them, the person on stage, that respect, so that you can not distract a fan from the show that's happening at that moment. But you also want to be cool to that fan and be like, look, I have time for you. I'm not like blowing you off, and it's not I'm too good for you, or anything like that. Right. It's just setting that boundary of like, super down. But let's do it after the show. You're hanging out. Yes. Make sure they're hanging out. Yeah. If they're leaving right that second, maybe meet them outside or whatever. Yeah. But establishing these boundaries in a respectful way of like, hey, look, I have all the time in the world for you. I'm more than happy to do this. But let's not distract from who's on stage.
The actual show happening at the time. No.
Absolutely. I think we'll take the break right now for this part, and then when we come back, I do want to talk about like the opposite too. Some encounters that you may have with fans that may be a little awkward, and how you can like basically make sure that it doesn't escalate in any way, shape, or form. So we are going to talk about our sponsor. And our sponsor is Marina City. And that's the band that you're listening to right here. So make sure you go to marinacityband.com and pick yourself up something nice. We have a bunch of cool merchandise items there that you can 100% get. There's always hoodies and jackets and hats and anything like that could be super, super special. At the time that you listen to this, there may be even some sales. So make sure you go check marinacityband.com for your merchandise needs. On top of that, at marinacityband.com, you're going to see some some really cool things like podcast episodes. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast so that you guys getting the most up-to-date podcast when they come out. Our YouTube. You'll be able to get to hear all of our music. And some of the most important things that we haven't talked about yet is our Discord and our text line. Our Discord is a lot of fun, and something that we really love as much as possible.
What's going on over here?
You guys, your music is really getting...
I'm sorry.
I didn't even realize you guys can do that.
Beatbox and piano over here.
Our Discord is a really great place for our community. A lot of our fans, speaking of our fans, are on there. You can check that out at marinacityband.com, joining that Discord. We really love it. It has a lot of cool things like a venting channel that you just want to talk about things that get off your chest. A feeling better channel that basically you can talk about your accomplishments and gloat about yourself. A pets pick channel and talk about your dogs. And then and just other things too. There's a lot of cool things on there that we're talking about. And lastly, but the coolest thing is our text line. Text us at 815 406-6209. That's 815-406-6209. We love the text line. It's our way to communicate with you directly. We'll be hitting you guys up. Text us with your name and your zip code. That's the best way to do it, so that we can make sure that we text you guys when we're coming to your town. So that is our sponsors for today's episode. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That might have been the best one we got.
Dude, crushing it.
Lordy.
Let's talk about where those situations that you could be in that you want to make sure that you can divert into making sure there's not escalation into that situation. So
I think to start out, the hardest one for me, that's like not really that big of a deal, is really like time management with individual fans.
Yeah.
So for example, like at the end of the show, generally speaking, a venue has a curfew, a time that you need to be out. I want to hang out and talk to everybody for as long as I possibly can. But, if there's like 20 people trying to talk to you and you're spending like 10 minutes just talking to one person, then it's like not fair to all the other people who are trying to talk to you, So it's like, that's always been, I think, the hardest thing to balance is trying to respectfully be like, I appreciate you. You are awesome. Thank you for talking to me. But I have to like give some other people,
and we will always hang out. Like, we're usually the last band to leave.
Yeah.
Like we will be there talking as much as we possibly can. So if you do see us, please come up to us and talk to us. We would love to do that. But oftentimes, like you said, that there'd be times where someone wants to keep talking and it's super cool, but there's like a line forming or whatever the case is. So oftentimes when that happens, I'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. Hey, you know what? They're looking to take a photo or something like that. Let me hit you up a little bit after, okay? And then maybe you do, and sometimes they'll be like, you know what? I did my piece with them, and they leave. That's a great way to do those things. The other thing too is like, or after the show, let me get through these people real quick, or whatever the case is. But this is also why we're online. We can always talk to online, or or sometimes I've actually done this recently. It's like, hey, actually, have you hit us up on Discord yet? You should totally post that on Discord. We'd love to talk about that later.
Oh man, and your advertising, jeez.
That's
genius.
It sounds
check
cool
out our
when you
Discord
put it in a podcast.
It's that. It's just tricky because it's like, all right, in order to not be rude to somebody else, I have to be a little bit rude to this person.
Yeah.
So I always hope that people don't hold it against us, but it's one of those things where it's just like the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Before long, the venue's going to be actually pissed at you because they want to go home.
We have to remember that too. Like the venue can't leave until everyone leaves. So, sometimes it's just like, yo, can you get your people out, please?
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of that. But, one thing that you have to know that there's got to be boundaries with fans and bands too. And if you're a fan of a band, even if you're a musician and you're a fan of a band, we don't want to touch you without any kind of consent. And I feel like sometimes you have to remember that too. Like there's been times where we've been grabbed at as well. People like to play with my hair a lot of times. And I don't necessarily find it, I'm not like super, super bummed about it. Like I'm glad that you like my hair because I'm honestly super self-conscious of it all the time. And the only reason why I'm keep growing it out is because my wife wants me to keep growing it out, but I would have been a shaved head at this point. There's so many times, I'm not kidding, that I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But with that said, sometimes I'm not always super stoked when I'm like talking to someone and all of a sudden people are just grabbing my hair, touching and stuff like that. Hey,
at least fingers out
at least be like, oh my God, I love your hair.
Can I touch it?
Oh my God, I love that. There's a soft. Can I touch it? Just at least do that. I'm really not someone that gets offended very easily. I'm not someone that's gonna get, but also just don't take my hat either.
Right.
That's whenever I wore a hat or back in the day or stuff like that. Don't take something from me. that'd be cool.
Yeah. But then how do you balance those interactions?
So, like what I've done before when that has happened, that's actually happened pretty recently, that someone was like, oh my God, look at your hair, blah, blah, like your hair. Like, whoa, hey, yeah, you're pulling it out. I just like, I want to make sure it's all there. Yeah. I probably should have said like, hey, like next time ask. But I am also someone that's not very confrontational. I will be when I have to be, but like oftentimes I will use every avenue from there. And it's usually some kind of joke that I'll say like, hey, like,
yeah.
Like,
I guess we've been fortunate enough where no one's like seriously crossed any of our personal lines.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been moments where it's like, all right, you have to deal with a little bit of uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to call the cops over or anything crazy.
No.
But yeah, I mean, trying to like, because you also want to like let people know, hey, this is maybe not okay, but you also don't want to be rude to them and make them feel, really weird or awkward or uncomfortable either. You don't want to be like, hey, don't touch me. Right. And then they're not a fan of your band anymore.
We definitely try to make sure that everyone is comfortable. There's been a few times where we probably should have said something more than when we did. Like when like that one lady was calling Matt her panda. Yeah. And it was like, there's moments where like we should have probably been like, yo, instead we were just like, hey, like we don't really call them that. Like we just got away from them. There's one time, and we talked about this story, and I'm going to put it on here for anyone that's literally like this couple came up to me on stage as we're just finished done with this thing. I'm sweating. Like everything is like, and I'm a hairy dude. So like just sweat is like just fucking just.
Dude, we don't
just
need.
take this picture. Okay?
We didn't need the image a long time ago.
I'm like a fucking otter, my dude. And so like, and while I'm on stage, and I'm on stage and I'm taking things off. There's like this old fucking couple. I don't even know if they have their teeth. They literally go, hey, my wife here wants to suck your dick. And I was like, dude. And I just was like, all I said, I just was like, well, I'm really sweaty. And I just ran away. And like,
hear that, Lindsay?
Yeah.
He's really sweaty.
Yeah,
that's all.
He didn't say no.
The only thing holding him back is that he's really sweaty.
It was like, I just was like, I don't know. You don't know what to say with those things. But all I would say with it is that like, you just kind of like, and then walk away. Like I never went to go see them again. Like I didn't make a whole thing. Like they were kind of goofy people. I would probably never see them again. And it's disgusting that they even asked about it. But it's one of those things where I'm like,
hey, don't kink shame, man. But
yeah, I guess it's true. But
there's a time and place, right? Maybe.
But I was just like
a proper approach.
I'm out of here, and I'm not going to entertain anything more with that. Sometimes people. That's the thing is sometimes people are looking for a reaction. Mm-hmm. Or they're looking to get in. If you just kind of shut it down in the effect of being like not just like okay, and then like leave or like not give them more for it and walk away, oftentimes in my experience they just kind of like it dies down.
Yeah, fizzles out.
Yeah.
There's a certain respectable sternness that you can apply. I think of like the fan relationship very similar to like the relationship that I have with my students, where it's like it's not that we're like not friends, like we're totally cool. I will talk to you all day about whatever you want, but maybe we're not going to go, well, definitely we're probably not going to go hang out, Yeah. So it's important to kind of have like a little bit of a barrier, but not in any way disrespectful. Something that's manageable for both parties, where it's like, I don't feel encroached on, you don't feel encroached on, and then leave it there.
Yeah, I think it's just really important in any kind of people skills that you remember that when you're a public figure in this situation, everything is looked at. If you look at someone a weird way, or whatever the case is, they're gonna be like, man, that guy was kind of rude. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so you just want to make sure that you're always on at that moment. And that sometimes it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And we just like, when we get in the van, we're like, whew. But at the end of the day, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
We want to connect with fans as much as possible.
It's my favorite part of the show.
It's the best part. Yeah. My favorite part of the show is not playing and no one there. My favorite part of the show is playing, and then everyone's hanging out. You know, so just be cool. And I mean, I oftentimes like it's easy for me to say because I've been dating the same girl since I was 15, but she was kind of a fan in the sense of like she knew who we were and she came to a show. But I would just be careful, like establish a relationship outside. If you are going to date a fan or date someone from there, establish a relationship that's a little bit more outside of the band before you really start creating that relationship.
Yeah, make sure that there's like separation between fan and friend, and then relationship.
Yeah, fan friend relationship.
And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. You know, like I hear a lot of times about people saying, "Oh, band people shouldn't like date their fans." Well, if you're on tour 12 months out of the year, where are you supposed to meet people? Like so I mean, granted, also married, don't have this problem, but. But no, I think like.
But she was also like the fan of the music scene. Maybe not
true,
so much us, but she was in like you would have met her from shows.
Yeah, I met her at one of our shows.
I met her at shows too.
So it was like, so yeah, I mean, but it wasn't like that relationship progression is very important to have and to distinguish it along the way. Yeah. And it's not that like putting you in the fan zone and not a friend zone is like a punishment or a reflection on you. It's just a very important barrier to someone that you don't really know, on a personal level. Like if we're being honest, a lot of fans of our band don't know me on a personal level, and I don't know them on a personal level, and that goes beyond like, okay, we can be on a first name basis, but also know next to nothing about each other. Like it doesn't mean
that you
like
like drums.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about as far as Eric's social media is.
Well, I mean that's about as far as I go. I'm not very deep. I just like drums.
He's got the monkey in his head.
Just symbols. But yeah, having those barriers of distinction are just super important for everybody all the way around.
And I think that basically any last words?
Nope.
Yeah. So be good with the peeps.
Just be normal, man. It's not that hard. Just be a normal fucking person.
Yeah.
Treat people good. Don't make people uncomfortable.
Treat people the way you'd want.
Don't be a
treated.
fucking asshole. There it is. Man.
Yeah, there it is. Those are the 3 commandments. Thank you guys so much for listening to Confessions of a DIY Musician. This has been a lot of fun to create. And if you have any topics that you want to hear from the band, please email us at thecrush@marinacityband.com. It's a great way for us to connect through email or even on Twitter, X, TikTok, whatever. Comment like, hey, on your next podcast, I would love to hear about this. That always goes a long way. On top of that, if you want to book us for a show, for a backyard, for your parties, or you want to get the podcast to come to your school and talk a little bit more about motivational speaking or just be successful as a DIY musician, hit us up at management@marinacityband.com. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We will see you next time.
Toodles.
Adios.
Bye-bye.